Hey guys, I hope you're doing great. My name is Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. In this video, I'm going to do an updated Bitcoin bull run time-lapse animation. And I'm going to show a couple of different scenarios in this video. This is a visualization of where we would be on the past 2013 to 2017 Bitcoin bull run as it relates to our current price today. And I think that it serves to show visually where we might be in relation to the peak, because that's the thing we all want to know is where's the top, how far do we have to go to it, how long do we have to sell if we're planning on selling. All right, guys, so I spent a lot of time today updating this chart, and I actually made two versions of it. One which exactly simulates the price gain relative to the 2013 to 2017 bull run for Bitcoin, and another chart which shows a more conservative approach with half the bull run increase. And I'll show you why I did two different approaches here. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to play the video for you, and then I'm going to go over it with you and break it down step by step. It's only about 30 seconds long, so here's the first video. So this is where we would be today on the last bull run, indicated by this red dot here. Now, as you can see, I've added a little chart here. This is the historical Bitcoin bull run's growth. And you can see that from 2011 to 2013, we had a 37x multiplier. From 2013 to 2017, we had a 17x multiplier from peak to peak. And from 2017 to the current bull run, we don't know exactly what the multiplier will be. And so there's two ways I modeled this. The animation that you just watched is an approximation of a 17x increase, which is exactly what happened from the previous bull run from this peak to this peak. So if we repeat that again, then that would be a 17x multiplier from $20,000, which was our last bull run peak. 17x of $20,000 is $340,000. So this particular chart you're looking at right now shows where we would be in relation to reaching a 17x increase, which translates into a $340,000 per Bitcoin price by the end of this year, most likely. So now I'm going to play for you the next chart, and this is going to show a more conservative approach because there's a couple ways of looking at these past Bitcoin bull runs. We could take the straight multiplier from the last bull run, which was 17x, or we can observe that there is a potential decreasing multiplier from peak to peak. Notice in 2013 we had a 37x, 2017 we had just under half of that with a 17x, and in 2021 if we took the same pattern and we took just under half of 17x, that would be an 8x multiplier. And so the video I'm going to play for you now, the next animation is an 8x multiplier off of the last bull run peak of $20,000, which would give us a $160,000 Bitcoin price peak. And you'll notice on this animation that it takes quite a bit longer to get to the actual "we are here" dot because the 8x multiplier reduces the total peak size. And so we're actually a much further percentage up than we would be with a 17x multiplier. It's coming up here in a second. And here again is the chart on the side, and you can see that I did the pattern here. The little arrows indicate we're looking at the pattern observed between the bull run peaks. Potentially this could be a smaller multiplier from peak to peak. Now there's a lot of people out there that think that this could be a bigger multiplier or at least the same as last bull run due to all the institutional money flooding into the system. And that very well could be true. And that is why I've shown you two different animations with two different predictions. Both plot where we are, but the relative peak is different. On this 8x chart from peak to peak, the peak is $160,000 as opposed to the last chart, which was $340,000. So as it says here, this is a simulation of where we would be based on an 8x multiplier, which is half of the 2017 bull run performance. And so I did this because I don't want to decide for you what the multiplier should be. I want to show you that it can vary and different models can give you different results. Obviously on this chart, we're quite a bit higher. We're almost 30% of the way to the peak, which is still a long ways to go, but it's a lot higher than the last chart where we're about halfway as high. And so it makes a difference where you anticipate the peak will be. Now there's a couple of really interesting things to take away from this chart here. Now let's assume that we have a more conservative bull run peak. Look how steep and how vertical the chart climbs from this point. And look how little time is left between now and when we actually peak out. On this particular chart, it looks like we have about 3 months left until we peak out. Now, if that translated into today, we would add 3 months on to March, April, May, we would land in mid-June where the peak would be. I don't personally think that that's going to be the case. And so this is really fascinating to me. And I think that this indicates that we have further to go, and that's based on a lot of different metrics, which I'll go into more in depth on a future video soon to come when I show you my colintcrypto Bitcoin Bull Run Index, which gives a more granular, detailed analysis of where I think we might be in relation to topping out. But I do think we have longer than 3 months to go. We will find out. I could be completely wrong, but if that's the case, what that means is that we are expecting more than an 8x multiplier, most likely. Because if we're expecting only an 8x multiplier, look how vertical this is going to go in the next 3 months. And we'll peak out 3 months from today. I don't know about that. So let's flip back over to the previous animation. This is the 17x multiplier model with a $340,000 price peak anticipation. And you'll notice that the red dot we are here is half as high. And so it does look like we have a little further to go with this particular model. On this model, it looks like we have about 4 months to go until we peak out. Again, extremely soon, sooner than I would expect. And again, notice how vertical it goes. There's a little bit more distance, but it's still pretty much vertical from this point forward. So I think that we may end up seeing a 17x or higher multiple based on this model alone, on this visualization, just because I cannot fathom us topping out in a mere 3 or 4 months. But again, as a trader and as someone who wants to take profits, I need to be ready for anything, because if it does top out in about 4 months from now, I need to be ready to handle that. I need to be ready to sell. I need to be ready to take profits, and I need to be not so fixated on a date that I think the bull run peak will happen, that I miss the whole bull run and I don't take any profits. So I need to be very careful about this. And again, I'm going to analyze this in more detail with the future colintcrypto Bitcoin Bull Run Index, which is CBBI for short. And I'll do that probably with my next video. So stay tuned for that. And I want to talk about one topic here, the topic of, is this bull run going to be bigger than all the previous ones because of how much institutional money is flooding into the system? And this is how I look at it. I do think the fact that we have seen rampant inflation, unlike we've ever seen before, in greater quantities, exponentially than we've ever seen before, I do see that as being a potential catalyst for this bull run being larger than a meager 8x. Every bull run, by definition, it has to reach further and further into society. You have to reach the Elon Musks and the Michael Saylors this time around, because next time you're going to have to reach even deeper into a greater sector of society by the nature of the bull run. So because of the halving event reducing the supply and the increased adoption and interest in Bitcoin, it by definition has to reach its tentacles, its economic tentacles, deeper and further into society, tapping into areas of economic input that it never had before. So I see the Michael Saylors and the Elon Musks as being kind of a default expectation. I know, as crazy as that sounds, but the thing I don't consider a default expectation was the inflation increase we saw. That is something that we have never seen before. And I think it could be a compounding effect whereby you have people like Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, these corporations that do see the threat of the inflation, and they do want to capture and store their value in something that won't depreciate, and that is Bitcoin. And so I think because of the catalyst of inflation, the new players that we would have seen anyways are going to be putting perhaps more money into Bitcoin than ever before. And maybe we'll see even more players because of inflation as the catalyst. And that's how I see this bull run possibly being larger than an 8x, breaking this particular trend where it goes 37x, 17x, 8x. Well, it might not be an 8x. And I think that if it's not, it's because of inflation and all the effects that inflation has. So it's interesting because the Bitcoin bull run halving, its influence is 50% less every 4 years. But interestingly enough, we have sort of an offset where inflation across the globe in every country is exponentially increasing. So in a way, it's almost like they cancel each other out. And I think that that's a very interesting way of looking at it, a very plausible way of looking at it. And under those circumstances, I do think it's realistic to posit we might see a 17x increase again, or even higher, maybe a 20x increase, maybe a 25x increase. I try to keep it not too crazy because it's better to under promise and over deliver than to over promise and under deliver. But I do see it within the realm of possibility strictly and only because of the rampant inflation we have seen in 2020 and 2021, unlike anything we've ever seen before. You know, these guys who put their stimulus checks into Bitcoin have already like 10x their money from that first stimulus check. So it goes to show you that if you want to store your value and you want to increase your value relative to inflation, Bitcoin is the place to do it. And so with that being said, this is where we are today, guys, with a $60,000 Bitcoin price, which is the equivalent of a $3,450 price as it would be last bull run. It's very exciting. I'm extremely excited to see how this unfolds. I really do think we have more than 4 months here. And if we have more than 4 months, we probably have more than a 17x multiplier. But again, I don't want to over promise and get you guys disappointed. So stay tuned for my next video, the Colin Talks Crypto Bitcoin Bull Run Index. I'm going to give you an updated figure on that metric. And we're going to take a look really detailed at how close we really are to the top. And maybe again, we'll see a double top. If you haven't seen my previous video on the possibility of a double top for Bitcoin, like for example, it hits 100,000, then it crashes back down to 60,000 or 50,000, and then it goes all the way to 250,000. I can absolutely see that being a possibility this bull run, especially with how vertical and how quickly we've climbed. And so that might be an explanation for why it looks like we're only 4 months from the top when we're really not. It's another clue that a double top could be in store for us. So stay tuned for my next video. Please share this video with all your friends if they haven't seen this. I really would appreciate that because the only way that YouTube really shows my video to any new subscribers outside my existing user base is if you smash that like button and you comment, and it boosts the metrics of the video. So I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will be back with you again shortly to evaluate this very exciting Bitcoin bull run. Have a great day.